Michael Bay's back and it's not another Transformers movie. And you know, I grew up with Michael Bay's movies. I thought they were fun. I even liked Pain and Gain, but I haven't seen 13 Hours, so I can't comment on that one. But he kinda lost me with the Transformers movies, and looking back, I wouldn't exactly call most of his movies great films either. However, I haven't ever had anything against the guy or his movies. So when I heard a couple of Michael Bay rants by Mark Kermode, who actually called Pain and Gain one of the worst movies of the decade, I kinda laughed it off as him taking the movies way too seriously, you know, being a bit grumpy. But watching this right now with more of a critical eye, keeping in mind what Kermode said, I gotta admit, he made some really good points, and yeah, I can absolutely see where he's coming from now. Because to me, this is easily Michael Bay's worst movie I've ever seen. It contains all the bad stuff and pretty much none of the good stuff. And I really tried, but I have pretty much only one positive thing to say about this. It looks kinda slick. But that's pretty much where the compliments end, and the rest of it is just varying degrees of bad. But let's set up the general premise and the story here, such as it is. So the title refers to this crew of 6 sort of underground operatives. A group that's doing some sort of missions, covert operations. Which immediately brings me to the first issue. It takes about 30 minutes for the movie to actually get into what exactly it is they're doing. At first there's an extended action sequence that went on for way too long, where they are on one of their missions. However, it still doesn't tell you what it is they're doing or why, which kinda makes it difficult to care, to be honest. It's just not very interesting, since you don't know who the characters are, what they're up to, and why they're doing what they're doing. And instead of establishing that, you're treated to a car chase, a lot of explosions, and gunfire. Which meant I was almost immediately bored and started playing Michael Bay Bingo. Or well, that actually started with the very first short little intro sequence. Because immediately there's a very blatant product placement for a beverage company I won't name. And throughout the movie there's quite a number of other sponsors too, all about equally as subtle. So that's number 1 on the Michael Bay checklist of things to have in a movie. Other things include really lame jokes, if you can even call them jokes, because bird poo is apparently supposed to be funny, I guess. But we also have things like shots of really attractive women for no actual reason, nonsensical ADHD editing that is liable to give you a headache at times, brightly colored cars for no other reason than that it looks cool. We also have absolutely needless slow-mo shots that serve no purpose, cheesy music that plays whenever something is supposed to be emotionally compelling and powerful, and a fair amount of patriotism and rah-rah USA is the greatest kind of stuff. And then we have this just generally immature approach Bay takes to almost everything he does. I mean, we have jokes involving male genitalia, we have nuns flipping people off, we have jokes on the expense of innocent bystanders getting killed. We have wanton destruction of priceless ancient artifacts, none of which is particularly funny or in any way, shape or form necessary. Then we get to the characters that are all pretty one-dimensional. And because of how they behave and because they partake in the previously mentioned antics, they're not very likable or in any way sympathetic either. But then the movie wants to make them out to be the good guys anyway. We're supposed to root for them and to think that what they're doing is justified and great. Which, if done well enough, could have been perfectly possible. However, because of the way it's all set up and the character's previous behavior, I had a real hard time being on their side or to really care, to be honest. Which I guess brings me to the real issue with this movie. I just didn't care. I was bored out of my mind watching this. I remember looking at the time wondering if it was gonna start wrapping up soon, and realized I was just about halfway through the movie and had about an hour more to go. And that is what makes this one of the worst movies I've seen all year. It's shallow, it's immature, it's tasteless, it contains all the worst aspects of Michael Bay's style. But worst of all is that it's just incredibly boring, and at no point did I feel even remotely invested in it. So there you go, I finally get Mark Kermode's view of Michael Bay now. And I really wonder how much I would like his other movies if I rewatched them now. I mean, I still don't think they're nearly as bad as this, but I do think I'd have a different perspective on them. But anyway, would I recommend this? I mean, no, it's just not worth the time. So I'd say this one is fairly safe to skip, or, don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.